We just saw the one coming back in a series against Beyond the Game in what turned out to be one of the most explosive series we have ever seen in HGC China 2018. Sensational comeback, I want to say, from the one. Playing it smart, playing it schmork, going for the core when that was the only way they could have ever hoped to win that game. And tying it out, 1-1 versus Beyond the Game. But it's time to move on, as good as that series was, Tetcher. And we're going to witness TeamNut, the crowd's favorites, against KT. And look at that, despite the, I don't use this word often, Tetcher, atrocious display of KT yesterday. Our commentators in China, they are leaning towards them. Do you agree?
I think it depends who the support player for TeamNut is. But I'm going to be honest, as long as it's Malfurion, perhaps, or any of those other, like, easier to play supports, and not a Lily again, I still think there's a good chance of TeamNut beating KT.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, we need to find out whether 7Milk, the team's manager, is going to sub again, or whether it was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Yeah. I think since the commentators probably know, I was going to say that 7Milk is going to sub in again, that's probably the reason why they are giving it to KT. Because, let's face it, he did not look as good. We don't know the reason why Atui is no longer on the support role, and they had to swap someone out, but yeah.
Are there no other subs? Is there no one in the open division you could pick? I mean, he impressed me a fair amount of Malfurion. I was okay with it. But the fact he was willing to pick Lily into that composition where it just absolutely did not work was just a little bit irritating here. And here we have Atui, the key position player, who is the normal support player and very good at it, but he's being forced onto the off-tank role.
Yeah, he's forced on the off-tank role. He was part of Team Timeflow earlier in 2018, when that team with Timeless back in the days qualified to the Pro Division for the first time. And ever since then, he's been a pretty consistent player. Yeah. Nothing, star material-wise, but also nothing terrible by any means.
I would like to point out that TeamNut actually do have a sub. They have a substitute player called Varia. He hasn't played since like the first week, where I believe he played once.
That is true.
But we haven't seen him since, and instead we are getting the team manager instead. The team owner, sorry, 7Milk coming in. And they are unfortunately missing one of their key players, Fei, which is which is why 7Milk is having to step in here.
We haven't really heard anything about Fei, right? We don't know why he's currently not playing. Maybe he's got an injury going on in real life. Maybe he's got other obligations. Maybe something terrible happening in his real life. Although we really want to wish him all the best here. And hopefully he's going to have a speedy recovery for HGC China, because he used to be, or he still is, one of the most seasoned players in terms of raw, experience in HGC China of them all.
Completely agreed. But we have Hope and Timeless here, and we have had it confirmed, chat, that 7Milk is the owner of the team. So we have that. But Varia is listed as a substitute. So maybe if he was a manager, but he is listed as a substitute.
Yeah. All right.
It's on all our documents.
So, on the flip side, though, we see this guy, Hape, one of the most deadly Genji players in the league. Had a little bit of Genji yesterday, but unfortunately everyone else was just going completely bonkers. And the whole team of KT just crumbled under the pressure. Who did they face again? Beyond the Game, I think it was. Yeah, Beyond the Game. And Timeless in particular looked like a classic Timeless in his not-so-decent shape. Normally, I don't want to be so disrespectful and offensive towards a player, but this phenomenon has happened twice now. First, it was an RPG that at some point the team didn't really have the synergy with Timeless anymore. And now, although I don't want to jinx it, it could be a deja vu with KT.
We are only going hard because we care, because we know this team is capable of so much more. They've shown us, and we want them to show us again. They have so much potential, potentially more than like CE and SBT, who have been almost stagnant for a while. And I want to see KT reach that level again and then surpass it.
Yep. So let's see. Will KT be able to bring back the magic of Timeless and his boys? They looked so good in those opening days and opening weeks, right? But look at that. If there's one team for KT to beat in their current struggle, it should be TeamNut. They are looking for success themselves for 3 days now.
Yeah, losing to RPG, getting RPG's first and only 2-0, I believe, of the entire standings. Yes, I am correct. And apparently Fei, the reason he's not playing is because he is left temporarily, and the only wording we have had is it's due to a personal issue.
All right, so all the best to Fei and a speedy recovery.
Yes.
Hopefully he'll be back in the studio in Shanghai soon to support his
We
team.
love you, dude. Return to us soon.
Yeah, especially for next week. He would be such a big asset for TeamNut in the playoffs. One of the carries, one of the pillars of that team. We want him back.
For now, though, TeamNut taking us to the Battlefield of Eternity as our first map in this best of 2, which means it is going to be KT with the first ban out of our 3 bans as we are playing on the current patch.
Absolutely true. So BOE, yet again, a 2-lane map. And I think they redeemed the Rainer at least a little bit. But despite, that wonky turnaround and that crazy comeback with that boss first, and then, of course, the core call, the core backdoor, Tetcher, you watching and witnessing Jim Raynor, happen twice now in HGC China, what is your first verdict of that hero? Do you like it? Do you think there's more to be desired? What would you say?
He dies to dive, can do well if he's got a front line. He's like a mage, but with auto attacks. He has no mobility, he has good damage. That's about it.
Yeah. I really think we didn't get to see enough late game Raynor there because it was Brax's holdout. And Brax's holdout normally doesn't go into the very late game stages, right? But I think if we had seen more team fights with that Raynor Shine at level 20, for example, with, Paint Them Red getting more healing value, then maybe we could have had a better image of the current power level of Raynor. For now, though, I think it's mixed feelings, right? That first game probably didn't count either because it was so bad by not just Raynor, but the entire team's draft. In the second game, it was not your standard game, not your normal game, because it was Brax's.
Very true. So, what are we going to see as the first pick? As the bans have already gone through, Decade was banned. Malfurion was actually let through. This might be a bit of a target onto KT. They're still going to get Malfurion straight away, though.
That is correct. Now, TeamNut, what are they going to respond with here? They could go for... If they want to hide something for the later stages of this draft, they're going to pick the support now. Also, if they want to secure an Alexstrasza, for example, as a solid third healer, maybe a Rhaegar, because there could be more support bans coming out for KT now that they've picked the Malfurion first.
So now, with the Hanzo stolen away, like I said, Tracer could fish. He doesn't have great race potential. Then we're going to see Phoenix to begin with.
Yeah, I wouldn't dislike a Tracer, to be honest. I think she's definitely good on BOE.
She is.
Racing is okay, but most importantly, she has that movement freedom, right? Near the Immortals, especially while defending, even protected by the Immortals' abilities. She's really hard to touch, really hard to get.
And anyone who's hard to kill means that they're constantly doing damage, because if they're not dead, they're doing damage, usually. Or AFK. One of the two. As we do see Thrall being banned out finally for TeamNut, removing one of those good synergies with the Phoenix, as Diablo and Phoenix are already on the board. So the Purification Salvo combo is not so much on the cards as in the cards, in the deck, with the Jokers removed, and it's every card.
Very good point. All right. You see Timeless here, by the way, on that webcam. Let's see. He's going to play that Diablo again. He's had mixed results on that one. I still think it's one of his better heroes. The Murden yesterday looked a little shaky. His best hero in terms of results and, performance-wise, I think is still the Johanna, though. That is safe to be said.
I would agree. I think that's a fairly safe assessment to give due to the fact that, well, the Johanna is harder to feed on. It's harder to dive, is my personal theory on that. We see Yrel and Jaina removing another slow, very sensible, and adding in a solo laner before KT get the chance, as KT did ban out the Blaze.
That is correct. All right, Yrel being deployed as that solid solo laner. On BOE, of course, we don't really have the longest of solo lanes compared to Brax's Holder, for example, which took almost forever, it seems. So Thrall being banned out because, oh man, are we going to see a Sergeant Hammer every game now? I am loving it. Sergeant Hammer and Tyrael.
Tyrael, though. Instead of like a Malthael.
I don't think Tyrael is designed to be, a super dangerous soul laner here to best the Yrel. I think Tyrael survive. Yeah, Tyrael is probably going to try to hold the lane to the best of his ability, but he's really good in those team fights later on to shield the hammer, to basically provide additional slowing maybe to that Phoenix as well, more protection with the Sanctification. And they've done it again, ladies and gentlemen. TeamNut going for the underdog support picks. 7 milk on that Lucio.
Yeah. I mean, the Lucio's like Lily, but you don't have travel time for your heals, so
yeah,
at least he doesn't have to aim his heals. I think that's honestly a pretty reasonable choice. Just stay near walls, spam E. I think this is, out of the two options, potentially the best one. Out of all the open support options, it might be the best one for him. But I mean, for starters, my mind is just trying to scream at me, it's a bait, Diablo solo top lane. They'll never see it coming. But no, it should be Tyrael because he can hold the lane beautifully. The whole point of Tyrael is he freezes lanes using his shield to delay the minion waves as much as he can. He never wins lane. He always holds it, or he loses slowly, and that's the point.
Exactly. So, on the one hand, I kind of like the Lucio here for all the reasons you mentioned, but I also just noticed that TeamNut is playing against a Sergeant Hammer composition twice in a row now. In that second game yesterday against BTG, where they picked Lily, and I don't even know what they were thinking. This time they play against KT, though, and their draft makes a lot more sense now if you think about what they have against the Sergeant Hammer, right? Murder and Irel, that's a lot of pressure, a lot of CC that could bait out the siege engines early on as well. Hanzo, Dragon's Arrow, good lockdown, good flanking potential. Jaina against a still standing target like Sergeant Hammer could always drop a good ring. And you know, Lucio with a good movement speed boost to get to that hammer, good protection with the sound barrier. If they play it well, if they get their act together, I think this is by no means a lost game in draft. I think they have what it takes to be a good rival here.
The damage output for KT is pretty much all in on Hammer. They have Thrall as well, but it's going to take him a while to get online.
No, Thrall was banned.
Oh, wait, no, it's not Thrall. So
Phoenix.
Who's on the damage dealer? Phoenix, that's it. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I don't know why I got Thrall in my head. But yeah, so Phoenix Hammer, that's fine. They have a very good amount of damage output. Tyrael's Eldrin's Might for slows, Hammer Mines for slows, Diablo Lightning Breath for slows. They have slows for doze. Those days.
Definitely true, and I'm already excited to see that Tyrael, man. We've seen a variety of playstyles coming in for Chinese Tyrael players, right? We saw the Judgment actually getting a lot of work done. Probably not going to be picked here because they have very little follow-up, and a good Sanctification, man, can always win you games. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce the teams. TeamNut on the Blues with No on Hanzo, FS on that Murden, 7 Milk on Lucio, Oasis on Jaina, and a Tui on that Irel.
And on the right-hand side, it is Kudo's top, looking to break their losing streak, with Hope on the Phoenix, Timeless on Diablo, TWT on the Malfurion, Hikari on the Tyrael, and Hape is bringing out the Sergeant Hamer.
Sergeant Hamer, I like it. I see what you did there. Well played, sir. Something we haven't really talked about at all, which is always a relevant topic of discussion on BOE, of course, is the racing potential. Sergeant Hammer, although she's good at zoning, she's okay at racing bosses. Not really that amazing, especially if she doesn't go for Napalm at level 10. And looks like Phoenix is actually going to be a solo laner here, putting Tyrael into that 4-man in the bottom to give additional protection to Sergeant Hammer and the boys.
TeamNut 7 Milk, easily the longest name in any HGC region.
Yeah.
Just outstrips his health bar by a significant amount. As we see Timeless hovering around, at least for the moment. Scatter Arrow comes in, going to be building up those stacks of simple geometry in preparation for the boss. As Hammer has gone for the extra AoE on the auto attacks instead of going for the ambush here.
All right. That's sometimes, you know, a talent variation that we sometimes see. But ambush normally seems to be the get-go for the most part.
And Advanced Artillery works better if you're planning on going with Generative Biosteel at level 4, which very much indicates a lane-pushing style, which is what we saw KT do before. It indicates a lane-pushing style instead of an Immortal race style.
Very true. So, in terms of racing the Immortal, by the way, what does TeamNut have? A very scary team, actually, if you think about it. Hanzo, the absolute lord of the Battlefield of Eternity when it comes to that. Jaina is probably the mage that races the Immortal the best because of her low cooldown on the Frostbolt and the extra damage. So yeah, I think in terms of raw racing, KT is going to have to be a little bit on their tippy toes and really try to team fight and defend more rather than racing.
Lucio, by the way, with We Move Together, increasing the base movement speed bonus of Crossfade to 20% as opposed to 10%.
That's definitely a nice boost for the less mobile heroes, especially like Jaina, for example, like the Irel, especially while she's charging. That slows her down automatically because of the nature of a kit. So Lucio with that movement speed boost actually giving Irel a little bit more, how should I say, movement freedom, movement speed.
Exactly, but it does mean he's missing out on Accelerando, so the micro is going to be a little bit more difficult. Nice little boop onto Timeless there, in case he was planning on trying to do anything swiftly onto Oasis or FS. But this is going to give a chance for the Mercenary to be started by Hape and the Tyrael, as Atui doing okay. Nice little move up here. I like the fact that Phoenix has actually been in top lane against the ERL. It's working very well.
Yeah, also Phoenix not going for the Arsenal synergy here, by the way, going for a full repeater cannon build up to this point.
Mobile offense. Cool to see. Going to give him that extra kiting potential against the melee heroes, the Muradin and the Urel here.
All right, Sergeant Hammer is postured up, and they're trying to race this against a Hanzo that doesn't have the cooldown reduction on his scatter arrow yet, so they might actually have a chance. But Phoenix actually missing and sleeping a little bit here in terms of actually making it to the team in time. So a lot of the damage was actually missing for Team KT.
Sergeant Hammer is sticking with the siege tactics here, not going with what we thought might be the case for Regenerative Biosteel, is instead just relying on the extra AoE here. It's extra wave clear, I guess, but it's less burst damage, and it means you are getting less value if you do have to unsiege a lot, which in this case scenario is very likely.
All right, Hape on that Sergeant Hammer. He's zoning them out, and Hope, his compadre on the ranged damage department, he's not going to try to tickle down that Immortal all by himself. Good roots on Muradin, takes a lot of damage, needs to run from the Tyrael.
And FS goes down. Hikari picking up the kill. KT looking solid. Hammer has chased Jaina all the way back to her base, actually. An unusual chase we see there. Lucio in trouble, into the root, and 7 Milk is down.
Yeah, beautifully done. No escapes over the wall here. And I wanted to highlight a level 4 talent choice for Tyrael that basically made that kill on the Muradin possible. And that is the Bound by Light at level 4. Increases the movement speed slow on the Eldrin Smite, and also keeps reapplying this 30% movement speed slow with every auto attack after he blinks to the sword. So without that, I don't think Muradin would have fallen, because the movement speed from Lucio would have probably saved him. But with that talent, they managed to get that early game advantage here. And looks like TeamNut is now a little bit behind, and they're going to have to defend that first Immortal against a Sergeant Hammer, which is easier said than done.
Although literally everything you said there was correct in terms of the analysis, the Tan is actually technically called Bound by Law.
Oh, Bound by Law.
But alliteration, I have made way more mistakes than that over the years, so completely forgiven. As we do see the Immortal pushing in here, Timeless goes deep, and down goes Lucio once again.
All right, Lucio trapped and knocked into the roots once more. 7 Milk continues to struggle, unfortunately, although we can't really blame him onto that, because that was a really hard fort to defend in the first place. And it looks like Timeless, he's not had enough yet. He finds a kill, and what a difference it is when KT plays that aggressive, picky team style with Timeless, compared to yesterday where they faced a really good team like Beyond the Game and got punished every single time for it.
Graduating range coming in from Sergeant Hammer.
Okay,
no
now we're
hover
talking.
siege today. Just getting the maximum siege potential. Huge AoE, huge range. This is very old-fashioned. Look at this. Hikari's job right now is to literally stand in front of Hammer and give him attack speed. Oh, I didn't think of that. Swift retribution.
So nice. So Hikari, the bodyguard, the babysitter of Hape on that Sergeant Hammer, he doesn't even care. He stays in there. Unsieges now for a short moment in time, and F is under a lot of trouble.
Finally going to move back. They're not even going to commit to the second tower here. Meantime, Hope is grabbing another fort here. Finally, Atui will arrive to absolutely put a stop to that.
Man, if you think about it, like that push was so threatening already by KT, and they didn't even have the full force there until the end. So, very impressive. The momentum seems to be back in the hands of KT, and TeamNut still trying to find their rhythm.
Yeah, as we see the Hammer comp still pushing up top lane.
They want that keep now.
They go for
level
round
10.
2.
Napalm, better siege.
It's a full siege build. I like it. Here comes the Napalm straight away. Tower 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be down in 7, and down it goes.
Beautifully done. All right, the Impalers helping. The shields on those things are real as well to block a little bit of the Jaina Blizzard damage. The graduating range, though, it's getting bigger, and now Habe is in his domain. He's firing at that keep from almost max distance. Beautiful. Is it actually in range?
Is he actually in keep range? I think he's out of keep range.
Yeah, I think just by an inch, quite literally.
Well, he's going to focus on the fountain anyway, uses siege tactics to prevent FS getting anything, and then just turns around and just blasts him. Napalm to completely prevent anyone else coming in, lightning ref to zone, and yeah, he's out of range. Oh well, unsieges and leaves.
Sad moment, but I'm pretty sure they're going to come back eventually after dealing with this Immortal.
Yeah, where is it on the minimap? Why isn't the Immortal showing on the minimap at all? Only the blue one.
Yeah. All right. So pretty interesting to see this, by the way. Napalm Strike is something we haven't really seen in a lot of those Hammer games as of late. Yeah. But it makes a lot of sense on this map in particular. Look at Habe, how close he is. His range is actually covering both the enemy Immortal and their teammates as well, if Muradin, for example, was about to jump in. And with that Napalm, he is much more reliable and much more consistent Immortal damage there as well. Once again, a flip into the roots here against TeamNut's FS. He takes so much damage. The Broccoli likes him so much, he even follows him all the way. And, I don't know, man. How do you want to crack the defense of KT here when you're not even level 10? Irel is trying to soak in the bottom, but nobody was even on the top lane.
And Irel is soaking against Phoenix. Hanzo even comes down to bot lane. Maybe they might make a play onto Phoenix. There's the knockback. Cameraman's not seeing it because Phoenix is already out. He's too mobile.
Easy escape, and once again, we need to highlight the synergy right between Turiel and Sergeant Hammer. The swift retribution at level 7, giving Sergeant Hammer attack speed. Look at that body block there as well. Diablo taking care of the backline too. Here goes the lightning breath. Here goes the sound barrier.
Here comes the Dragon Strike. Timeless eats most of it, but is fine. Purification Salvo does snipe Jaina in the backline, but everyone else tanking through it pretty well. And, well, they're not going to win the Immortal, but the fight went better than last time.
That we can definitely confirm, but guess what didn't turn better than last time? It was the objective outcome here. Lucio doing a good job providing movement speed boosts to his allies in need. But boy oh boy, Tetcher, that's almost a fully shielded Immortal with a Sergeant Hammer. They still have that fort at least to buy a little bit more time, but this could actually look mighty grim for TeamNut if they don't recuperate and don't play that defense well.
Siege up in range already to start burning down this fort as they will finish taking that down. Diablo does get interrupted on his attempted charge. Hammer going to have to unsiege pretty quickly, and this is where ambush would have come in useful for bonus damage. But instead, it's just full safety because the enemy has to dive a really long way to get full value. Sieging up outside the gate as the napalm comes through. Muradin gets absolutely wrecked. Here comes a lightning breath in a sanctification to zone away everything else. Sorry, it was Yarel that got wrecked. And this time, Habe will be in range for the keep this time.
The KT train is just riding through here. Nothing to be seen, nothing to be done to stop them here. I think TeamNut is in a world of pain. The Immortal is still sitting at roughly 70% of its health. They still have the real threat in that case, which is Habe on the Sergeant Hammer. He's in core range. He is getting bodyguarded and body blocked by his teammates. Nothing really for a team not to be done here. I think they're looking helpless. A Dragon Strike from behind does nothing.
It just waits. Hey, it just kills off Hanzo in the 1v1 in the backline. But either way, that's going to be it. That is KT taking game number 1. As you said, the KT train rides through without so much as a penny on the track.
Yes. And TeamNut, it's safe to say that without Fei